Good afternoon, Chris. How are you doing today?
Hi, is this Nathan?
It is, yeah. I'm on the Bitcoin Mentor handle, and then we got Ed here on the Live Free BTC.
Good
So
afternoon.
my mic is good. You hear me well?
Oh yeah.
I do. Mike sounds great, coming through loud and clear. How's your day been so far, Chris? Muted currently at the moment if you are speaking, but while I let you get the mic all settled there, Ed, how's your day been going, pal?
It's been good. It's been good. No complaints. How about yourself?
Decent low key today. The youngest had a pediatric appointment, so I took him to that this afternoon, and then just staying away from the fiat mines for the rest of the day. It went really well. He's very active, and I let him smash his face off the couch accidentally about 2 months ago, and he still has this big dimple on his cheek. And I was totally freaking out. It's like, oh great, I made my son hideous. I ruined his face. Oh my god, what have I done? I was so worried about it. And doctor's like, nah, it's fine. It'll puff back out in about 6 to 12 months. I'm like, thank God.
Oh,
okay,
man.
good.
That's rough. Yeah, I have a 2-year-old boy too, and he's absolutely crazy. He's all over the place.
Oh, they just bounce off of everything. And I don't know if it's just because it's firstborn versus secondborn, but like firstborn is absolutely like the hall monitor, right? The rule follower, very cautious. Secondborn is just a shit disturber. Like he's trying to see what he can climb up as high as he can, jump off of, throw in his mouth, just always looking to create havoc.
That's funny. Yeah, no, mine's he's the first for me, but he's definitely fallen more into the crazy what can I do category. So hopefully that doesn't follow for the second thing, because I'll be in a lot of trouble when that comes around.
Probably. Chris, I just threw an invite to your other handle as well too, pal. I'm not sure which one's best for you to speak from. While we're waiting for Chris to get settled. Yeah. Let's see. We're back at 58K.
Are we really? You know, I stopped looking at it like all last week, and I just haven't really cared to look. It seems like I can just always count on it being 58K, right?
Oh, it's just been basically that stablecoin meme for months now.
I think I hear some echoing.
So, Chris, I think we have a bit of a delay. I can hear from the echo in the audio there. So what I'll do is I'll prime you up with a question, and whenever it just comes through, to just jump right back in and just give us your thoughts and feedback on it. I'm curious because I was trying to find out both like kind of the origins of you in Bitcoin, and then as well as of SEEDOR as well. So I was wondering quickly too, while people are just kind of joining the room, how did you come to Bitcoin? What was your kind of origin story here?
You're muted right now. I don't know if you heard what Nathan said. Hey, Chris.
So sorry.
We got some like echoing there.
Hang on, let me figure this shit out. Let me 2 seconds.
No worries, Chris. Get it sorted.
No worries, yeah.
Playing around with the tech in the background, and we'll just bounce off some stuff while we're just chilling out. I did have some really questions about like storing the SEEDOR in particular, but I'm curious, not that I want to go down this rabbit hole really at all, but just while we're letting Chris get set up. Ed, did you watch the debates last night? Because I didn't, because I really just can't be bothered right now.
Yeah, you know, I did check out highlights. I can't say I watched through the whole entire thing from start to finish, but I generally got the idea of what happened. And, you know, I wouldn't say I'm particularly impressed with either side after last night. And I definitely don't think that anyone that was going to be swayed one way or the other would have been swayed. So coming from somebody that, you know, is a little outside of the political spectrum.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of what I was at least hearing from posts and these things too, is that it seemed like wasn't great. And I'm sure that I don't imagine there's too many independents really making their choices based on these things. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just too far removed at this point.
I think I mean, here in the States, at least, from where I see it, people are pretty polarized. Even people that were moderates, like actual moderates, maybe 15 years ago or 10 years ago, even, just seem to already have their mind made up one way or the other where they're going, depending on the candidate. So that's what I see. I mean, that's anecdotal. I can't speak for the whole country, but you know, they didn't talk about Bitcoin at all. So I'm a little upset about that. You know, I would have liked to hear some Bitcoin talking points, but
I mean, they talked about Opcat, didn't they?
They definitely were talking about consuming cats. Chris, it sounds like your mic's working. We're all
Yes,
good to go out here too. So let me just prime you up from like the earlier point too. Is I'm curious because I don't know, and feel free to go in as much detail as you like. But what's your origin story of getting into Bitcoin?
So my origin story is sad. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I went to a technical university. So there was very little to do besides drinking, and had a few friends who were more on the computer science and electrical engineering side, and they really, really, really early on learned about Bitcoin, and they gave me a bunch. And I didn't know what I would use it for because I had PayPal. I was capable of buying anything I wanted online. And then I sold everything in 2011. And to this day,
oh my god!
I still
wow.
I have a phone case. I have the block laser engraved on the back of my phone where I spent a few bit as a reminder. And yeah, so
wow.
I got back in around 2013, 2014, and then Ethereum happened, and Nano Rye blocks, and IOTA, and all those shit coins, and the bag was lighter. And then 2017, I thought, wow, let's cash out. And yeah, afterwards, I learned my lesson. Ever since then, I only continue to stack Bitcoin. But I know that is my definition of an OG. OG, I will never have as many Bitcoin as I used to have or will ever have. Like something really weird must happen.
Yeah.
I have a funny story actually, kind of in relation to what you were mentioning. I bought a crypto mug back in about 2018, or maybe 2019, and it was one of the first Lightning transactions I ever made. I forget what, I think it was Lightning Store that was selling them, and I opened a channel, bought the crypto mug, and then closed the channel, just to try it out. So I didn't really like make full use of the Lightning Network, but that mug now probably is probably worth $200-300 at least. So I'm keeping it, and it'll be a relic of the things I've done. And I mean I've sold Bitcoin prior to really understanding it too. So I feel for you. I feel for you.
Yeah, it reminds me of. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have this very famous technical university, technical museum here where I live nearby, and I approached them like this was in 2021, and asked them whether they wanted to display the most expensive graphics card known to man. And they laughed me off at the phone conversation. Like, it's not happening. But I still have the graphics card. It's utterly useless, but yeah, it's a nice reminder.
Oh God, it's a beautiful story. Yeah, I was just gonna say, it reminds me. Ben's talked about in these spaces before too, that when he was dating what would be his wife at one point in time, they're doing a road trip, and I think some checks or something didn't come through, and so he didn't have any cash for the road trip. He's like, I got my Bitcoin, so I'll just buy breakfast every day. And so he was buying Starbucks gift cards with Bitcoin, and he's gone back and done the math, and it was something like a $300,000 road trip, just buying coffee and sandwiches all through the morning. Oh God, but it's good. Yeah. All right, awesome. So we got the story there. Just out of curiosity too, on that point, have any of these friends that first introduced you to it, are they still in the space, or did they cash out and move on as well? Or not move on? I mean, you didn't move on, but where'd they end up?
So I have the person that gave me the Bitcoin, I have no contact with anymore. Like, he finished his bachelor's and then he disappeared, and I just wish for him, I hope for him that he kept all those Bitcoin, because he was mining them back then. And I like to think that he's like chilling on the Maldives, but like he really early on like understood like privacy to an extent that I didn't understand until like, I don't know, COVID. He was really, really angry with me back then when I was putting his actual government name next to his ICQ name. Like, back then we were chatting on ICQ, and like he had like a handle. And then once he visited me and saw on my computer that I put his first and last name on there, and he was really, really mad, and I didn't get it. And nowadays, I like with Signal and Telegram and like all those best practices, I finally understand. So I like to think that he kept those. But yeah, I have quite a few German people from like my childhood are very, very into Bitcoin. Like Robin Linus and I, we grew up like next to each other, and like he's a friend of mine, and he wrote the BitVM paper. And the funny thing is, like my dad was a teacher at the school that Jay Stark went to, the guy who made the FCG9, like the 3D printed gun. Like I've had all these touch points and ignored them, and it took me way too long. So I believe in second, third, and fourth chances.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody always feels like they get here too late. And it seems like you do need to have it. You need to bounce off Bitcoin a few times before you really sit down and put in the work and take a good hard look at it. Just a reminder for anybody in the audience, if you do have a question, if you want to come up and ask any of us up here, we'd love to have you up here. And so then, Chris, with that, I'm curious, because you said it was mechanical engineering background, which with SEEDOR then kind of makes sense. But I imagine there was a period in between there as well, too. So at a university, did you go work somewhere else? Did you just dive into kind of entrepreneurial ventures?
So I've always been entrepreneurial at the side, but I tried to pursue like a university career. I tried myself at a PhD. I worked on that for like 3 years. I did mostly process simulation. So my concentration is material sciences, not strictly metal, but mostly carbon fiber composites, glass fiber composites like Kevlar, like everything like fiber reinforced plastics was my concentration. And then I worked for a lot of big automotive companies, aerospace companies, and the pinnacle of my engineering endeavor was working on the Ariane 6 rocket. But this it was supposed to have the first flight in 2020. It's been a while. I left the institute in 2018, but I did a lot of process simulations. But I have to say, the most complex process simulation that I myself made was for a diaper company. There's like a really fast processing time where they yes, it was not the rocket, it was the diapers that was really challenging to get the simulation just right, because you have like this multi-physical simulation and you're working at like 600 meters, like really fast spinning rollers, and they're trying to put two textile bands with some adhesive together. And they wanted to have this simulated, and I think it took like half a year to deliver that. Like the rocket was much easier.
Yeah, so diaper science, much harder than even rocket science, apparently, at this point.
Wow, yeah, that's very interesting.
And so, okay, so with that too, so it seems like you had a successful career in engineering. How do we transition to SEEDOR?
So a university friend of mine, he actually finished his PhD, but as a civil engineer, and we really like got into Bitcoin again, like 2018-ish, and decided like maybe we can put our minds together and help this ecosystem. We are both collectively too dumb to write a line of code. Like I know Java, I know MATLAB, but I'm like, I can't write assembly or C or whatever, or like not even like MicroPython. I'm more of an enthusiast, and I do like my hacky code with ChatGPT now. But I thought, maybe we can contribute to like this Bitcoin thing some way. And then he had the idea, like you have your metal backup. Maybe we can make this much nicer looking, because it looked like a pipe bomb what I built. And then we launched SEEDOR, and it was really, it was amazing, like the feedback early on, and then growing this like hobby into something that can actually pay a salary now. Like it's a very it's such a simple thing, but I'm very grateful that SEEDOR turned out to be not just a passion, but something that you can make money with.
Well, I'm just reminded too that it brings back this recurring story, this recurring theme that comes up in these conversations, is that it seems like at the root of it, Bitcoiners at heart are just producers. And over again, I'm hearing about somebody who had a particular need for themselves and then went out there to just kind of make it for themselves and ended up then pursuing the entrepreneurial route, bringing it to market, prototyping it, and actually building up to the point where they transitioned into it being a full-time career. Like we were talking with the guys at CryptoCloaks just the other day, and same sort of thing. Just 3D printing was the hobby, but didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore. And eventually that passion and productivity just led to it being a full-time job.
Yeah, I'm strongly believe like instead of trying to figure out what people want, build something that you want, and you will find enough of like crazy people that will also want the same thing. That like with the internet, like there you reach so many people, and I'm a very picky person. Like I'm very hard to find gifts for. Like I refuse. On my birthday, like I make people not give me any gifts because I don't know, like as an adult I can buy the stuff that I want, and like if you get me something, like I don't know, I will keep it and treasure it, but it won't make me happy. And with like
I gotta say, there's something about a very picky materials engineer from Germany that just feels like it's fitting into some stereotype. But please continue.
That's racist. Okay. But yeah, I mean, when I did like the market research on steel wallets, trying to figure out like if I infringe on anybody's patent, like I saw 74 different makes of like different steel wallets. And believe it or not, in like this open source space, some people actually patented their solutions. And I paid lawyers in England and in New York to figure out whether like our design would infringe upon like prior art, because I think it's ludicrous. It's like such a simple idea, and it's like a trivial shape. Like if you can build it yourself, go ahead. Like why would you bother to patent this? But yeah, I figured like when I designed it originally, like for myself, like I was not happy with what's on the market. Like there were all these things that had nice ideas, but then they fell short in one particular way. And I think like in the product, like for myself, like I took the best components from all of them. And turns out not just myself, but quite a few other people now globally, like in Australia, in like Canada, like everywhere, think it's a good idea. So it's not a rocket, it's not a diaper, it's a steel tube.
It's funny. I actually did something very similarly, and it's interesting your comments on patents, particularly with relatively simple products too. I've been working with a company out of the UK to develop it's an animal transport unit, and it was the same sort of thing. There was nothing on the market that actually suited my needs because I didn't have that material engineering kind of background, but everything that I currently had available all melted at the temperatures that I needed it to hit. And so I ended up just building something for myself in my dad's garage with just welders and whatever else I could get my hands on. But I remember they were talking about patenting it, and I basically told them like it's pointless. There's no point, because once they see the design, the setup, it's so easy to mimic. Just focus on branding, focus on the name, and don't bother with the patent.
Yeah, I think it's also like generally like in the Bitcoin spirit or in the libertarian spirit, like patents are obsolete. If you are first to market and you do not have the capacity to crank out the units that you need to sell profitably, then you have to partner up. And like patents, I think globally are a net negative. Like as a society, as like humans, we could be further along if like just the brightest minds share their ideas, and then the person that can build it the quickest or the best wins. Of course, there might be some people they put in the R&D and somebody swoops up, but I'm conflicted. Like patents, I don't know. I'm not a fan of those.
I agree.
I was gonna say I'm right there with you. I do not view, and this is a bit of a different side tangent from the libertarian kind of anarchist perspective. I don't view intellectual property as actually a thing. I don't think you can own an idea, right? Property only pertains to physically constrained things, right? Now, it doesn't mean people have to get necessarily access to your information. You're more than welcome to keep that secure and keep that private. But yeah, I'm with you. Patents and intellectual property claims, I kind of think are largely a kind of fiat creation and wouldn't necessarily be enforceable in a different sort of system.
Yeah, I mean, there are like many patent trolls out there as well. Like I know that like Newegg, the company, they made it a point that they would not ever settle with a patent troll, that they would take it to court, because there's so many people buying up established patents that are so broadly formulated that you can sue people like left and right. Like even like I have a friend of mine, he's a little bit older, he's also an engineer, and he not even invented it himself, but he bought a patent from like the 90s that just states a voice-controlled television. And he has been processing with Google for, I think, over a decade now, and they've offered him like crazy money to just fuck off, and he just keeps like trolling them. And they, like, I mean, I respect the hustle.
What a
but
waste
like,
of money in the system. Jeez. That's such like a burden on society, I feel like, for, you know, to just arbitrarily create a patent like that, and then this company has to like actually create a product to market, creating value for all these people, and then you just trolling them and then raking in so much money. I mean, it benefits that person, but you know, the cost to innovation is crazy.
yeah, but like, then again, like Google is also like part to blame. There was this documentary in Germany.
I hate defending Google.
Yeah, I mean Google can fuck off. But yeah, I mean there's this documentary in Germany. I'm not sure if it's like seen outside of Germany. It's called The $1 Billion Code. And like 10 years before Google Earth, there was like a German startup in Berlin that built exactly that, and they figured out like an algorithm that would run on a computer that would allow you to zoom in from space onto like GPS maps, like down to a house, which like nobody could do before. And then Google approached them and thought the idea was great and made them an offer. And they thought, oh yeah, they're gonna buy us out, and we will fly to whatever, Palo Alto, or where are they located? I don't know, Silicon Valley. And then the offer fell through, and then they launched Google Earth, and it's the exact same fucking thing. And they sued them, and then they went in front of the court, and like the people that like used to be friends changed their like, allegedly, like in their recollection, that they didn't use the algorithm. And in the end, like a jury that has no computer science background then sided with Google and said like, yeah, it's a trivial invention, and you get no money. And yeah, so, and then in the documentary you learn that Google does that, where they offer inventors like a buyout, and then they do not follow through when the seller agrees to that buyout. Then they renege on the offer. And they do that because then they set the limit for what amount of money they can sue Google. And then like any litigation becomes too expensive to pursue that. So it's like really smart from them to do that, but it's like, I mean, it's underhanded.
It's just so nasty. Yeah, it reminds me, I'm reminded of even the idea of like the fact that without Bitcoin, we have to, people have that second or third job, which is just being like a financial planner and an investor, and like all the time that's wasted because you can't just save in a hard asset, which we now can. But in that same sort of vein, I'm thinking about all the wasted manpower, intellectual power, and resources that go into this stupid compliance and regulatory bullshit, as well as the litigation and stuff back and forth from like a productivity standpoint and just general wealth standpoint for everyone. It's such a waste.
Yeah, I mean, bureaucracy. Yeah, in Germany we still use fax machines. I mean,
are you serious?
We are the last nation to get rid of cash and fax machines. I guarantee you that.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Well, just pivoting for 1 second, quick reminder to anybody in the audience: if you do want to come up and ask a question, we'd love to have you here. Anything Bitcoin related, anything that's on your mind. And I actually have one quick question for you too, Chris, just to kind of kick things off here. A lot of times I get people asking me about what to do with their recovery, their seed backups after the fact. I'm curious if in your adventures and your time with SEEDOR here, what kind of creative ways or maybe like interesting ways or recommendations you have for actually storing the SEEDOR afterwards?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because every time I would give like a recommendation, and like we've sold thousands of units, like that is then too obvious. Like I recommend people to think about that for themselves, but store it in another location from where you are right now. Like don't store it in your house. An evil mate can find it. Like even with a seal, like it's too risky. Create a multi-sig, create a passphrase. I mean, there's as much as we try to disintermediate banks, as much as we hate them, one thing they do pretty good is steel, concrete, and guards. If you have like a lockbox in a bank, you can store like a shard or like a seed without the passphrase. Like never give them a full signing capacity, because the government can always enter easily. But there will be safe from most of those things. And then again, like, yeah, I mean, we use 316L stainless steel. It will survive a house fire. It will survive the elements. You can bury it. Like if you have a nice place in the woods, we purposefully designed it with a diameter of 25 millimeters. That is almost like exactly an inch. And you can easily find like a wood drill to drill a hole of exactly that size. And that can be furniture, a tree, whatever. And be creative. And as opposed to titanium, stainless steel is not easily found inside of a building with like a metal detector, because there's like loads of steel everywhere. And but yeah,
that's
the term fixes this.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I want to just kind of quickly touch on that. And then Tokens, I see that you're up here, so we'll give you a chance to ask a question in just a second. But this was not something that I'd ever considered, of the detectability of the metal of the backup as well, too. So could you just expand on risks of titanium that I didn't even realize were there?
So I don't know what to spook anybody. Titanium is a great material. Like titanium is super light and ultra corrosion resistant, and has a higher heat resistance than steel. Like you can go up to 1600 degrees C. Stainless steel, the version that we use is 1450 C. And like a house fire is like at 1100 C. So there's like no real added benefit to go with titanium. But if you were to store your titanium plate like at the bottom of like the sea, like where we have salt water, then I would probably go with titanium. But in every other condition, like steel will do the job as well. And titanium is much harder to emboss if you have like a titanium grade 5, like the one that you would want to have like the corrosion and fire resistance. Like there's some soft titanium, like grade 1 and 2, which is like more of a pure titanium and not an alloyed one. But all of those, nevertheless, have a distinct like frequency that you can use with like a metal detector. And in your house, the only things made of titanium might be the frames of like reading glasses or like artificial joints in your body. You do not have large amounts of titanium. If you have a titanium plate, it will stick out like a sore thumb if you like hide it in a wall. And like the kitchen sink, like reinforcements in concrete, all those things are made out of steel, and they're indistinguishable whether it's like the regular 304 316L whatever steel. Like they are the same. But I mean, that is utterly paranoid. If you have a titanium backup, you're doing fine. Like it's just like, I like to think of scenarios as Bitcoiners as we do. Like we try to be as paranoid as possible. And I thought like with titanium, you're gilding the lily in terms of resistance to fire, and you make it more difficult to emboss it, so it's legible. And it also will be more expensive. But there is a great company like in the Netherlands, we're good friends, like CryptoTag. They focused on titanium plates, and it's also a fantastic product. So as long as your seed is not on paper, you're good in my book.
Quickly, awesome. Out of my own curiosity, then I'll pivot the tokens, because I was just thinking about this as you were talking about too. But I suppose that might also be the reason that no one would ever want to use something like tungsten as well too. It'd be too difficult to emboss and then kind of easily findable.
Yeah, I mean, tungsten is used in light bulbs, like in incandescent light bulbs, and it's like really fucking heavy. Like, think of him what you may, but Eric Wall, he's a big fan of tungsten cubes. Every time you have a bet with this guy, like he bets you a tungsten cube and engraves it with like, I think like Adam Beck lost one, and he has like a tungsten cube, like similar to, I don't know, Han Solo in Star Wars. But
my wedding ring is actually made of tungsten carbide, so, and it is very heavy for the size it is. It's very, very neat material, and it's cheap.
I was mine too, and I was thinking if I use it in welding, because I believe the melting point of it is why it's used for TIG welding.
Yeah. And in TIG welding, you have like this anode, I think, like the pointy bit. And a lot of there's some drill bits that are also made of this because it's so fucking hard. And if you want to engrave it, you would probably use like a laser engraving machine. I'm not sure if you can engrave it with like metal punches. And if you use like something like a laser engraver, I have a few of those in my garage, like fiber lasers for stainless steel to engrave our SEEDOR set or like the bottle that we sell. And I do not trust this software like this to store any keys. Like I would never like it used to be the way that like Windows would touch like a private key, but like ever since the money is in the computer in the last, I don't know, 5 years or so, where Bitcoin has been made aware, and there's so many crazy like hacking ideas out there. Like never have a key touch anything that is live, and those lasers, they phone home, I'm pretty sure.
I also just want to quickly comment on the fact that you have a laser engraver in your garage. That's awesome. Tokens, did you have a question or comment or something you want to add to the conversation?
Hello, gentlemen. I don't know if there are any other ladies here, but nice to see you again. So it doesn't tell me who was speaking. You know how sometimes spaces glitch. So it was talking about the Google lawfare. That was the topic before you started talking about the security for the Bitcoin. So I just wanted to share with you a similar experience as a personal experience. I dropped in the bottom there a link to my radio programming. So I don't know if that's something that you can put up at the top if you'd like, but it's in the comments. So I started this radio show back in 2020. It's still the only Bitcoin crypto radio show on real, broadcast radio at the time. And I haven't heard another one. Maybe there is, but the people were so excited about the show. It was doing great. So just like we were talking about how the big companies will come in and you have an idea. So they came in, they had a Zoom meeting with me. This is when everything was being done on Zoom, and they made me this glowing presentation. So what they wanted me to do is, my show is so interesting and so like captivating to audience. So they presented me with a plan that was so hard to say no to. As basically they would syndicate my show on this many stations across the country, but all I had to do was give up my show, right? I would not be the host anymore. They would put this is like, they have Ryan Seacrest, iHeartRadio, they have all these big time names. So they basically wanted me to be behind the scenes feeding the content to the mouthpiece that was a different person, one of their big talent. They had an anchor that was reading news, 5 o'clock news, and she has great voice. I think she had like a British accent, or she had a British accent, but like people just like listening to her because of the voice. But she didn't know anything about Bitcoin. So she probably went online and looked up Bitcoin and said, oh yeah, she loves Bitcoin or whatever. And then they made the deal so sweet that I was so shocked. So in the middle of the meeting, I said, can you give me 2 hours? Let me go and think about this and we'll reconvene the Zoom call. So in 2 hours, I got back on the Zoom call and I was like I'm sweating. I'm so nervous because this is like the biggest opportunity of my life, I would be all over the news, but it wouldn't be me. It would be somebody else. And I said, you know what? I think I want to keep my show. I don't want to be, feeding someone content, because what if a caller calls in and asks a question and they don't know the answer? And then they'd have to call me to answer the questions. Anyways, so I gave that up. And of course, I'm not as big as I could have been. But what they did is they turned around and they had Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify all removed my show from all online platforms.
That's pretty crazy.
So my show, you can click on the link below. It's still on the radio, but you can never find it. They removed like 12 years of content, because I have other shows before. It just so happened that I rolled in out of investments, like traditional investments, into the whole Bitcoin space. And yeah, they removed everything. If you go to my channel, I Heart Charlene on YouTube, it will say whatever, this channel doesn't exist, has been deleted. So yeah,
I'm glad that you stuck by your guns and decided to keep what was yours and not bend the knee to lose that.
Yeah, but I end up with nothing.
No, that's very unfortunate. Definitely.
I'm not like in the caliber of Elon Musk to be able to fight these battles, but I'm not kidding you. You can hear my show on regular radio, but you cannot view it or consume it online. So they can't get me. Like, FCC protects, like, anybody can be on the radio, but because these private entities own like Spotify, you can just create all these tech companies. They don't need a license from the FCC. They can just run their content or run their platform without communications license, so they can ban who they want. So that's how it works.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that with us.
So I'm living proof of this in present.
I'm sure it happens to so many people too that we like never even hear from. It's really a crazy.
And then I get on Twitter and it's like, oh, your website. They take my website down, so they target my hosting company. So all my shows were on my own private website, Tokens Magazine, I Heart Charlie. I have all these websites. Like, you try to go to my domain, it won't show you anything.
No, it's a rough spot to be in. And it really does speak to kind of the issues with the whole fiat system as a whole, right? Because you constantly see that the system favors the larger entities, and they're always trying to find something to do with their capital too. So you find them coming in and buying up smaller businesses and basically just eliminating the competition sort of that way too. So I appreciate you sharing. I think it is very emblematic of just the issues kind of at large. But just pivoting for a second here too, Chris, I want to jump back. I think I saw that you posted that you were at Nostriga and at Baltic Honey Badger. How was that conference? And did you see anything that was exciting or something that caught your attention there?
Yeah, absolutely love Baltic Honey Badger, and Nostriga was my first Noster conference. Was quite interesting. Like, a lot of us, like German, Luxembourg, French people, went there, and I didn't know what to expect, but it was like everybody that attended Baltic Honey Badger also attended like Nostriga, and Jack Dorsey was the generous benefactor of that conference. There were no sponsors. You could just show up. You had to send a Noster DM, and then not only were you admitted, but you received like 21 euros in Bitcoin on a Sept card, and you could spend it on like really nice food and coffee. And there were all these great projects there, like Nostrockets and. I host the podcast. We talked about it. I'm drawing blanks. Like the biggest Noster change that I recently encountered was like that Fountain, like the podcasting 2.0 app, tore out their social network that they had, their profiles, and just replaced it with a Noster npub, like, which is crazy. Like, you can now, when you boost an episode, you comment on an episode or share it, you have the option to just share this on Nostr, so it's not compartmentalized in just the Fountain app. Like, you can access like this broad social network, and I think that's just the right way to go. Like, focus as a podcasting company on having like a good podcasting app, but leave out the social components to like, this new DNS disruptor. And
I think I'm kind of curious to just kind of expand on that a little bit too, because I know that I believe it's the Fetty app is using Matrix for chat in the background, and I believe they're using Nostr for the identity within the app as well too. So I'm curious, as someone it seems like a little more tuned into the space, and then at that conference, of where you kind of see things going, or what you kind of might envision happening in the future of Nostr.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Nostr is going to be like just social media. Social media will definitely be like a large part of it, but like the centralizing forces around anything DNS, like that can be utterly disintermediated with like Nostr. Like, you have your npub, I can send you money or eCash locked to your npub. I can do a coin join on Nostr. There's like an Electron plugin called Joinster. An Indian fella, floppy disk guy, is coding that. You can have entire like the coordination just between npubs, and the great thing about npubs is you can treat them as disposable. You can have your social media npub, you can have something to sign up for like some shady website, whatever, and you can do like nonce rotation, whatever, like just with these npubs. Because like the great thing about Bitcoin, like, we removed identity from payments. You do not have to sign up with your passport, your ID, whatever. And then like we jump through so many like hoops with LN URL, bolt 12, whatever, to add identity again, so that we can zap something that looks like an email. And I think Nostr is like the perfect match made in heaven for Bitcoin in that sense.
I love seeing it too. And it's great to have so many smart people working in tangentially related kind of freedom tech oriented stuff. Like, there's a lot of things being built, like even grabbing a new coordinator for Wasabi Wallet, like that you can find on Nostr, and that information's aggregated there as well too. And then, can't be hopefully taken down or teared apart. Ed, did you have anything you want to add there, or question?
No, I mean, I agree totally on the Nostr stuff. I love seeing, I mean, Fountain took a huge leap by abandoning like the current architecture of their user system, and then switching completely to Nostr. That I can imagine that had to have some conviction in that idea to go ahead with that. And I think that it's definitely the right move, because being able to bring your identity and your network of friends and just acquaintances from Nostr and go to app with the same group of people is a great feature. I did have one question though on a slightly previous topic. Being that you guys do the steel plates and stuff for seed storage, you did mention storing your seed, preferably not in your home, because evil maid attack. We're all aware of that. But I'm curious if you have recommendations for somebody. Maybe it's a younger person that lives in an apartment even, or just lives at home with their parents, and they might not have relatives that they could leave the part of the seed at, or something outside the box that maybe some people aren't thinking of. If you have anything to share.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably. I mean, it's hard to imagine that you do not have like relatives or like a place outside of home where you could store it. But in that case, I would also like recommend to have like a failsafe 2 of 3 or something like that. Or that is like something like entirely like new I'm using and exploring right now is like a decaying multi-sig, similar like a Liana wallet, where you have your main spending path, and there you have your key, and that is in your hardware wallet. So far it only works with like the Bitbox, the Jade, the Cold Card on the Edge firmware, and the Ledger, and the Spectre DIY. And then you have a tab leaf, where if you do not move your coins for 65,000 blocks, which is like 1 year and 3 months, then those become available, those spending paths. And there's like this interesting concept where you do not even back up your primary spending key, where you have like a hardware wallet that has the key, And if that breaks or that gets like broken or stolen, like it's still pin protected. You just have to wait to then get to your backups, and you only have those backups then secured in steel. So you have like this added protection, this layer of time that separates you from that. But yeah, I mean, that's all these great things like are happening, and there is no, how do you call it, panacea, like there's no universal cure to that, and you have to like have an individual approach. Like I mean, passphrases are great because I know people that can memorize for 24 words, 12 words are manageable, but a passphrase with like 10, 12 signs, upper, lowercase, maybe sandwiched with like some symbols is really, really secure. And then you can have your seed phrase even in your desk drawer, and just not do as I do when I type in passwords. I catch myself sometimes reading them out loud. Don't do that.
I so often have to remind people when we're doing our educational calls or our consultation there to please don't say anything out loud as you're going through it. It's such a bad habit and everything's listening.
Yeah. No speaking out loud or cameras that are, might get a peek of what you're doing. That was great. That was great advice. I mean, I'm always looking for just things that maybe I didn't think of. Obviously, having something like a multi-sig and being able to put it in a PO box or at a relative's, and you have to still have some trust that it's not going to be compromised. But at least with a multi-sig and maybe even a passphrase on top of it on that single seed, there is the possibility that you have much more protection than leaving just 12 words in a safe in your house. It's probably not the best practice.
No, and it's funny because I've often thought about like physical protection and encryption protection and like geographical disbursement, but I hadn't considered really the importance of time, of protecting your stuff with time, and that time decay multi-sigs. That's something I have to give a little more thought to in the kind of security models that I'm generally thinking about. So pivoting for a quick second here. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to add to this time. There's a lot of like funny things that you can do with time. I mean, right now, Liana Wallet, I think, is the gold standard regarding decaying multi-sig, and everybody should check it out. Like they even have like a light client where you do not have to run your own node, and like the currently we're on version 6, and like the next release also has like the capability of having like a remote node. But yeah, like Robert Hamilton from Anchorwatch, they're working like on Trident Wallet. Like I recently used like the beta. And there's all these capabilities also on Sparrow to do like funny stuff. We recently, like Germany sold like 50,000 Bitcoin. You may have noticed a dip in price.
Yeah, we saw that.
when the Fed sold those. And I was pondering, like in a podcast, how fucking funny would it be if you are like the executing IT guy at like the whatever the FBI equivalent in Germany, and you just do like an ops CLTV, like the check lock time verify transaction to the same pub key, but like, I don't know, 50 years in the future. Like you're not stealing the funds, you're just forcing Germany to hodl for the next 12 and a half halvings, and you will be thrown in jail probably, but like
you
after 10 years or so. You're the hero, yes.
Yeah, that's a crazy idea. I love hearing people that like play with the time locking of Bitcoin stuff. I actually haven't done it myself, but I keep feeling more and more motivated to try it out. So I'm gonna have to look into it.
Yeah, definitely something I need to check out. So Chris, I'm curious, two questions for you. One, how many complaints have you gotten about someone damaging their table when they're setting up their SEEDOR? And then second, do you guys have anything cool planned for the horizon? Anything exciting that you're working on? Any projects to look forward to?
So far, nobody has complained about destroying the table. Surprisingly, like we recommend not using like a non-sturdy table, because like it will be much louder because of the air vibration. Because if you move like a table, it's gonna cause a lot of noise. Like we recommend, if you don't have like a workbench, use the floor, or use like a brick or like an umbrella stand outside or something, and then you're fine. We get a ton of complaints though, emails. Guys, I'm super happy with the kit, but when I opened the letter punches, I couldn't find the 9. And that is the fact. We only ship 0 to 8, and it's like written in the manual, like you just turn the 6 upside down, and it's like people are they never respond to that email when they point out that fact. Like, just have you tried that? And like they never answer. But I need to figure out to make it more obvious, because when we designed the kit, I decided to add a symbol like the ampersand, like the and symbol, so that even with a base kit, you have the possibility to store like a passphrase with like a symbol requirement. So you have like a little bit of added security. But again, like every single day, there's an email, guys, where's the 6 or the 9? But yeah.
Oh, I never even thought of that. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Okay, awesome. And then so stuff on the horizon. Is there any projects you guys are working on or things you're excited about?
So we are working on something physical right now as well with SEEDOR. So you keep your eyes open. Not yet ready to be talked about, but on another note, like I'm also working on a project right now, only released in Germany. It's Bitcoin insurance. So we all. Yeah, I mean, there's this great quote by Mike Tyson: "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." And I racked my brain when I was thinking, like, okay, I have this generational wealth is on a geographically distributed multi-sig. I still have like a bunch of hot wallets. I have probably every phone smart wallet like with Lightning under the sun on my phone, and there's like some balance of like $50 on each of them. Like when somebody kicks my door in, I can give them like a little bit of Bitcoin and make it worth their time. And because if I start explaining to them, oh, actually, you have to go to this location and you have to say the magic word and then you receive this. And then suddenly this home invasion turns into like an abduction with like 2 weeks of travel. And
it's just a forced treasure hunt, right? It's just a nice scavenger hunt with some new friends.
Yes, and along the way, like there's a lot of chances where they will blow your brains out. And yeah, so a friend of mine, you may know him. He goes by Rootzoll on Twitter. He's like a DJ on a lot of conferences, but he's a really smart programmer, and he works has an OpenSets grant. He works on Raspberry Blitz. He is like a Lightning node implementation. And he like coded the entire thing, and we are now having we are directly integrated with the Bitbox, like a Swiss hardware wallet, and there you can just insure a sub account. You can, so far only in Germany, you can just say this account, this SegWit address, everything on there, up to 100,000 euros, so like less than a little more than 2 Bitcoin right now. Sadly, 2 Bitcoin is insured fully against $5 ranch attacks, like also like fire, water damage, whatever. If you break your hardware wallet, it's also insured. But it's just something that you can easily give up. If somebody kicks your door in, you can just say, here, there you go, fuck off. And yeah, that's what I'm working right now. It's called Bitsurance, and we are live. We are trying to expand, but yeah, traditional insurance companies do not work that quickly, and Bitcoin is new to them.
I'm very curious, and I do want to be respectful of your time. I know we're getting to the top of the hour, but I had no idea that you were doing this Bit insurance program as well, too. And so is it largely built the same way in like traditional finance, traditional insurance? Or like, for example, is the company actually having a reserve of Bitcoin on hand in order to meet those potential demands?
So yeah, currently, if there's an insurance case, we pay out in euros. So you have to immediately go on the market and rebuy your Bitcoin, because the market, like there's a fluctuation, and we have an agreement with the underwriter that we insure up to 100,000 euros. And if the market moves and like your Bitcoin that used to be only 50,000 euros is now worth 120,000 euros, like the insurer can only recover or like repay you for 100,000 euros. And yeah, we're trying to just improve the setup, and we're trying to orange pill like insurers. We have a very, very good one in Germany, deals mostly with like bike thefts, and there's this way of like, it is a very funny conversation to have with an insurance company that up till the Bitcoin ETF with Fidelity and BlackRock, a lot of insurance companies had a binding, no signing anything whatsoever that touches Bitcoin. And that changed on January 10th. And that conversation is now you have a lot more open doors. You can go to these companies and tell them, hey, you are insuring somebody's fine wine collection in a cellar somewhere, and you have to take his word when there's like a flooding and those wine bottles broke, that he didn't drink half of them. Like, you have no idea how many bottles, what worth was there in the moment when the flooding happened, and you reimburse them already. You also have like insurances for like household insurance. You have something for like insuring gold bars. What if we present you with an asset that you can insure, that you can trace both into the future and back? Like, you can know the exact amount of Bitcoin that was on an insured account, and you don't have to overpay or estimate. And if it's like stolen by a criminal, like coin joins are of course a thing, and there's like privacy technology. But as we've seen with like tons and tons of cases, even that is recoverable, because there's a lot of like criminals that do not stack and hodl. They go to on and off ramps and try to cash out, and then they're caught. And all these benefits you do not have with gold. So it's a no-brainer to offer that. And yeah, we are the first to market worldwide to offer insurance on Bitcoin. And we're looking to branch out. So far only in like another 12 countries in Europe. Soon 2 weeks TM. On the other side of the pond, shout out to my friend Robert Hamilton. He's doing something similar, but he's not necessarily focusing on retail. He's like more on high net worth individuals and companies. We had conversations about that, and I think this is something that retail will need. I mean, some of us are publicly exposed as Bitcoin holders, and there's like this Jameson Lopp GitHub page where he's just collecting like people getting robbed. Like in Sweden, everybody can figure out like your tax return and where you live, and there's like people getting robbed left and right, and that is just something that is a reality now, and I think will just become even more of a reality in the future.
No, I completely agree. And in particular, too, it makes sense that like financial institutions, even like banking and insurance coming into Bitcoin, I mean, it's a pristine asset with 24/7 global liquidity that you can audit the balance at any point in time. Like, using it as collateral for loans, and in this case, insuring it is compared to like gold or art collections, makes complete sense. And I do agree that while there'll be hesitations, that I think we're going to see more and more of this. So that's really cool. That's really exciting to see. I may have missed it earlier. Are most of your clients then in the retail space?
Yes, absolutely. Like we insure, like we launched in October, and we are directly integrated with like Bitbox since February, and we have like quite a few customers that insure. Like, we have the lowest tier is like up to 10,000 euros, and then 50,000 and then 100,000 euros. And like, you can insure against the $5 wrench attack for €2.50 a month. So half of a $5 wrench. Then again, like for $5 wrench, like these days it's very small.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're coming close to the top of the hour. Ed, did you have anything you want to ask or you wanted to add?
No, I've had a great conversation so far. Yeah,
beautiful.
Guys,
well, no, I'm trying to think if I had anything else from my list I want to touch on. It's been a fantastic conversation. We'll have to have you back on. And yeah, talking about those physical threats and these things too, Jameson Lopp stuff, it's definitely frightening and something that we have to keep track of. Oh, I remember the other point I was going to make is we were talking earlier about doxing your friend. When we first started doing these spaces, we tried to not use our real names for like all of 2 days and just completely gave up on it. Yeah. But Chris, where can people learn more about SEEDOR? Where can they learn more about you and Bit Insurance? What should they go check out? Can you give them a handoff to that?
Yeah, I mean, at SEEDOR_IO is where I post the good memes. And then on my private account at CoinJoint, I post the cringe memes that my business partner does not vetoes for the main account. And yeah, at Bit Insurance.
It's funny, I actually, just to quickly interrupt, I actually had that on my list of questions of who was responsible for the memes. I just had to interrupt. Just continue.
Yeah, that is. I think that is my ikigai. Like it brings me joy. I actually help my brand, and I can sort of get paid for that. Like it's like in the center. As a child who grew up on Reddit and who's like really into Bitcoin, like it just made sense to I don't know upgrade my meme Dan and shit post every day. And like again, like just today on Nostr, like somebody Sept like 2,000 sats, so I get paid for memes. Look at that, mom.
Moving up in the world.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed the conversation, and if you ever are interested in coming back on, maybe when you guys release a new thing or just want to have another conversation, we would be glad to have you.
Anytime.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone that's listening, make sure to give them a follow, SEEDOR, and check out what they offer. Some of the best seed plates on steel or that you can get on the market. And if you want to follow us, you can keep to date with the spaces that we do. We do them every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you want to check out Bitcoin Mentor, you can go to bitcoinmentor.io, email us, or DM us and book a free one-on-one session with us. You could talk about how to self-custody your Bitcoin, all that stuff, running a node, anything Bitcoin related that you need help with. That's what we do. But I hope everyone has a great time rest of your day, and we will be back on Friday for another space.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.